Guys, if you are building automations on n8n, at some point of the time, you'll actually need a storage space to store the data, right? For some of the automations that you are building, you might need some storage space. So the first thing that you'd be getting in mind is Google Sheets, or if you want to use some sort of advanced options like maybe getting data and all those stuff, you'd be using Airtable with some formulas and all the stuff. But both of them has the limited resources. Like the resources here are going to be, you'll be having limited number of rows that you can create for particular sheet in the case of Airtable, or for that particular table, right? So for the free plans there is going to be limit, and also for the paid plans in Airtable you'll be also having the limit but with an exceeded amount of limit. But in this video, I'm going to show you a method which you can actually use. Like you'll be hosting n8n on a VPS, or you'll be self-hosting it, right? So you can actually use that same particular server in order to host your MongoDB instance. And you can actually use MongoDB in order to get the information or store the information and all the stuff. Don't worry if you're not used to MongoDB, it's pretty simple. You can actually use MongoDB in order to store information and get the information. If you completely watch this video, you'll be able to do that perfectly. So without getting delayed, let's get started with the video. So this is Coolify dashboard. If you're not sure what this is, in this particular video, I'll just show you the video. So in this particular video, we have actually self-hosted n8n. In order to self-host n8n, we have actually installed Coolify on our VPS server, and then we tried to install n8n for that particular on that particular VPS. So if you have the, I mean, the in that particular video, I have told you that you can actually install more number of services within that same VPS server if you actually follow this particular approach, like installing Coolify and then installing all the other required things. So if you are not sure how to install Coolify, I have showed you in detail how to install it. So just I'll leave the link in the description, and also I'll keep the video in the iCards as well. So just go ahead and check this video out. So you'll be able to understand how to install Coolify, and you'll be able to come to this particular place from where you can get started from this video. So if you are in the dashboard, just go to projects. So here you just have to click on add a project, and I'm going to name this as tutorial just for my reference. And I'll click on continue, and I'll click on add a resource. Now just search for MongoDB. I mean, it's pretty simple to install. So here, this is the set, like this is the configurations page that you can consider. Here, what you have to do is, so all these things can be left default. If you want, you can change out the root name, like the username and the password. If you want, you can go ahead with that. But the thing that you have to understand here is the port mappings. So in my case, so if you are just starting out, like I mean, if you don't have any of the MongoDB instance installed in your VPS server, you can just go ahead and just add the port number here as like you see this port number here, right? 5432. Just enter the port number 5432 and just start the instance. That's perfectly okay. But if you are someone like me who actually has a MongoDB instance already running, and if you want to run another instance, what you can do is just try to map the port to 5433 instead of 5432, which is already running. So once you have this, once you added this port number, just go ahead and click on start, and also make sure you are, I think we have Mongo 8, I guess. So I'll just switch to Mongo 8 here. So this is the image. So if you want to check with it, you can check what's the latest image and you can proceed with that. And I'll just click on start. So now this is going to install MongoDB in our VPS server. So let's just wait until it installs. As you can see, it says that the database is started. So if you actually get this particular thing, then you are out of errors and the database is now running. So the one thing that you have to do here is, in order to access, like I mean, Mongo doesn't have the UI. So what you have to do is, in order to access the Mongo in order, like I mean, in the form of the UI, okay, you just have to click on this, make it publicly available. Now what this is going to do is, this is going to, as you can see, we now have a new link. So this is the what you say, the URL or the connection string that we'll be using in order to connect to our database. So the best approach or the best way to use MongoDB or connect to MongoDB is to use a MongoDB Compass, which is freely available. So you can just download it from internet, and you'll have a MongoDB installed. So like the Mongo Compass installed. So I'll just try to open the Mongo Compass here. So this is, I mean, like as you can see, this is my production database, which is actually running on MongoDB, like the same approach on the same VPS server as well. So here I'll just try to click on add a new connection, and I'll go back to the Coolify page, and I'll just try to copy this particular URL, and I'll go back to MongoDB Compass, and I'll just paste it here in the URL section, and I'll just click on save and connect. And now this is going to be connected, as you can see, connected to this particular port with the IP. And now you'll be able to create the different databases. So let's just go ahead and create a database. I'll just name it test. And here the collection names are going to be, you can consider this as, let's say if you have a test as the database, you can have different number of collection names under the test database. So I'll just name it as test1 as of now. So I'll just click on create database. As you can see, this is the database that we have created, and under that we have the collection named test. So I'll just go back to n8n now, and in the n8n I'll just go ahead and use webhook as the trigger node. So just for the reference, and I'll go to post request, and I'll copy the URL. Let me listen for the event. I'll just make a basic webhook request here. So the post, it has to be under post, and I'll try to use the body as user ID. I'll try to name it as, I'll be using the parameter one here, and I'll be using the other parameter which is a text maybe, or else name would be, oh, a name would be fine. I'll use that. In the name I'll just type in Niketh. So now I'll just click on send. This is now as you can see, we got the response as webhook was started. If I go back to n8n, as you can see, we got the two parameters. One is the user ID and the other is the name. Now I'll just try to pin this, and I'll go to MongoDB. So here we have to actually create the document or insert the document, right? So I'll just click on insert document. So this is the, like, I mean, these are the previous credentials. So I'll just go ahead and click on create a new credential, and I'll just name it as tutorial. And here you have to connect it with the connection string here. So the connection string here has to be the same connection string that you have used. So just copy this and go back to n8n and just paste it out here. And under the database, so the name of the database is test, right? So that's the database that you have to choose here, and I'll click on save. As you can see, the connection is tested successfully. Now we'll be able to use the particular database that we have created, which is this particular database, the test, in our n8n. So what I'll do is I'll just try to go ahead and so I'll choose it as a document, I'll insert. So the collection name that we have used is test1, right? So the collection name is going to be this particular name. So in that particular name, so the fields that are to be inserted are going to be, so we have the user ID and the name, right? So before that, I'll just try to add a edit node here, like a set fields node, and I'll try to put in those two here, which is a user ID, and the value is going to be, so this is the value, right? Yeah. And I'll add a new field called name, and I'll try to put in the name here. I'll just execute this step. Okay, so now we have them here. What I'll do is I'll just try to enter the same variable names here, user ID, comma, name, right? So these are the two things. And if I just execute this step, as you can see, we now got the successful output. If I go back to Mongo and try to refresh this, as you can see, we now have the user ID and the name. If I switch it to tabular view, you'll be able to find it more clearly. As you can see, we now have the ID, like the object ID, and also we have the user ID, and also we have the name. So this is how you can actually try to insert them. So the example that I've showed you is with the webhook. Let's say most of the times if you are connecting n8n workflows from the outside, like externally, you'll be using webhook, right? So that's the reason I showed you with the webhook. And In the same way, let's say if I try to unpin this and try to execute the flow, now I'll try to change the user ID to 2, and I'll keep the same name. So if I just go ahead and send, you can see the workflow is executed, and now we should have the second thing, which is second user ID 2 and the name as Niketh. This is how you can actually try to insert the things into Mongo. And now let's see how you will be able to retrieve those information. So we don't need any of these now. So what I'll do is I'll just try to remove all of these, and I'll try to add the manual trigger, and I'll choose MongoDB again. Here we'll have to fetch the documents, right? Find documents here. So just choose find documents. And here the collection is going to be test one. So this is going to be a JSON format. You have to query it in the JSON. So I'll just try to add in user ID here, which is I'll just get the details based on the user ID. So we have index, like we have different columns here, right? So one is we have user ID, and the other is we have name. So I'll just try to get the details of this particular row using the user ID. So what I'll do is I'll just try to enter in the user ID here. So as one, I'll just try to enter a user ID one. Now what it should do is it should get this particular row with object ID, with the user ID, and also with the name. So let's see if it's able to get that or not. If I just execute the step, as you can see, we now have the ID, we have the user ID, and we have the name. So this is how you can actually get, like, insert the documents into MongoDB and find or fetch the documents using MongoDB in the n8n. This is it for the video. So if you have any questions, I'll leave the community link, like the free community link, in the description. You can actually join the community and post your questions. I'd be happy to help you out. So if you found this video helpful, just give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.